understand that, hey, I have researched about the company A, and A, B, C, these are the multiple reasons because of which I want to work in your company. And those reasons should be specific in the sense that they should apply to Upgrad and Upgrad alone. So first of all, you'll have to find out things that Upgrad does that that most other companies don't, right? So you'll have to find out specific reasons, right? Instead of going in slightly generic directions. So if you look at Upgrad, a very simple heuristic to think of is, so there could be, the question might be framed in two different ways. Why do you want to work for the edtech industry? Why intent would have like three questions. Why sales? For the ones of you who already have work experience, you'll probably not get that question, but for the ones of you who are freshers, you'll absolutely get that question. Then why do you want to work in sales? That is one intent question, and we'll come to that. In addition to that, there'll be questions around why do you want to work in this industry, which is edtech or e-learning, or why do you want to work in Upgrad, right? So if you look at the question, why do you want to work in edtech? What could be a reasonable answer that one could give that should be applicable only for edtech and edtech alone? Can you guys help me think of, if that is a question you are asked in an interview, what will you say, which is an answer which is only going to be... Sorry, someone was saying something.
Yes, sir. I want to give the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a booming industry, sir, where everybody wants to make their career.
Okay. EdTech is a booming industry. Agreed, but that's a generic answer. E-commerce is also a booming industry. Right? Retail is a booming industry. FMCG is a booming industry.
Can I try?
Banking is a booming industry, right? So a lot of industries are booming. You have to give an answer that is true only for edtech and edtech alone. That statement should not apply to any other industry.
Can I try?
Got it, sir. Got
Ease of knowledge.
So can I?
Yes, please.
Sir, can I try?
Like I have started my career
skill ourselves with this industry
platform where we get a huge amount of courses or
guys. All right, everyone stop. Athak, you can go ahead.
The ease of knowledge is there and the R of necessity because of COVID. So that is the reason why this industry is at a boom rather than comparing with other industries.
Can I?
Okay, again you're talking about like the industry being at a boom at a central point. Which is okay again.
Can
I? Sorry, yes, Arpit, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, sir. Like I have started my career as an accountant, but after 1 year, I moved my career to the education industry. I started working as a trainer over there, and education industry is an industry which gives me an happiness from my inside. Like that is an something like I'm helping an organization to grow up, and also I'm helping a person to grow up in his career as well. So that will be giving a happiness to me, and that's also an interaction to new meeting with the new people. These are the basic things like I used to do. I love to travel a lot. So these are the basic things I want to pursue in the education industry.
Okay, but then I can also turn back and say that, okay, why don't you go and work for the pharmaceutical industry? You will get to travel. You will get to help people with life-saving medicines. That is also benefit to humanity.
But at that time, I'm not able to help him in his career. Like I have told him, like I am helping someone in his career growth.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Someone else had raised an...
Can I?
Actually, India is the most attractive market in edtech industry.
Sir, I'll be helping students in gaining the right set of skills which help them in their career, which help them in getting good path.
Okay, fair enough. Someone else had an answer. Sorry, guys. Someone else was speaking. You can go ahead.
I want to interrupt. I'm sorry, I can't raise my hand. I don't know. I'm not getting that.
Okay, please.
Yeah. So, I have started my career in ICICI Prudential in sales as senior manager. Yeah. So there were a part of sales wherein we were reaching out to the people and helping them get insured. but then it was about life. It wasn't about the career. Okay, there were no income sources we were providing. We were providing something which is ensuring them. Okay, so that is the reason why I turned up to edtech industry, because I have already worked in Amazon as well in the profile of operations and sales. Okay, and there also we came to know that we are actually helping them going ahead with e-commerce things, like whatever they like in their when it comes to luxury, basically. Okay, and the day-to-day life things, we are actually giving them that, but that's also not giving them any kind of income sources, right? So whenever someone is upgrading themselves, they are actually taking up a new path in their career, and they are actually going ahead with something they like and they want to do, right? And giving that path actually gives immense pleasure and immense satisfaction when it comes to job satisfaction, right?
Alright, fair enough.
So
Okay, so okay. So first of all,
Alright, guys, I get your sense. A couple of answers were fairly good, right? So some of these answers could be very personal, right? So if you could say that, hey, I love helping people with their careers, and if you could be really convincing about it, that is, that could be about personal choice or personal preferences, and that could be a fairly valid answer. One kind of answer that I wanted to focus on was
I'm sorry, sir.
something that sets the edtech industry in India to be quite a bit different from anything else. And the answer is fairly simple. If you think of the largest Indian company, right? Think of Reliance, TCS, ITC, whatever, right? Take any large Indian company, take the largest Indian company in any industry, and you compare that company with the largest global company in the same industry, right? You will see generally, not generally, almost always in every industry, you will see that the largest global company in that industry is about 5 times, 10 times, in some cases 50 times larger than the largest Indian company in that same industry. To drive home the point, there is this brief I would like to show you. Now, this is based on the market capitalization of all these organizations in 2022. A lot of these numbers might have changed from now, but the broader narrative still stands, right? So we have, as you can see on the leftmost column, we have listed the industry. Next to that, we have the largest Indian company by market cap or by the private market valuation if the company is not publicly listed or if it is private. And we have also, for benchmarking, next to it, we have the largest global company in its market cap or valuation, again, in the case that they might be privately listed. And here on the map, on the extreme right, we have what is the scale of difference between the largest global player and the largest Indian player. Now, if you look at energy, the largest Indian company broadly is Reliance, right? And which is like about a $200 billion entity. But compared to the largest global company, which is Saudi Aramco, it is dwarfed. Like Saudi Aramco is like 8 to 10 times the scale of Reliance. If you look at software, compare TCS to a Microsoft, again, Microsoft is about 10 times the scale of TCS. You look at banking, you look at e-commerce, you look at online traveling, you look at streaming, FMCG, alcohol, automobile, pharmaceuticals. So, dawa se leke daru tak, kapड़ों से लेके energy tak, in every industry, you broadly see this narrative play out. And the narrative is, basic pattern is this. The largest global company in any industry is several times larger than the largest Indian company in that industry. In most cases, Indian companies don't even feature in the top 10 companies in most industries, let alone being the largest industry in their vertical globally. This means that the Indian market in the above industries is not perceived to be as large or as valuable as the markets in other countries. However, there is one industry where Indian companies dominate the chart. There is only one industry wherein the largest global company is an Indian company. That industry is EdTech, right? EdTech is an industry wherein today, if you look at public or private market valuations, 3 or 4 of the largest top 10 companies are Indian. There is no Chinese company in that list today, and there are a few companies in the US, and the rest is India. So there is one common narrative that you will find, that EdTech is an outlier industry. It is the only industry where not only today Indian companies rule the roost, but over the next 5 years, 10 years, this gap between India and everyone else will increase even more, right? And what is the reason? So this is the market opportunity of EdTech. India is the largest learning population of the world, period. Now, EdTech companies typically target users in the age bracket of 5 to 35. The median age of India is 27. For China, it is 38. For US, it is about 48. Right? So India is a much younger country. About 65% of our population is under the age of 35, which is the population that EdTech companies can target. We are talking about 900 million people in that segment, right? So about 800, 900 people in the 5 to 35 years age bracket. Proportionately, US has only 100 million people in that segment. And China, that segment is about 400 million, right? In addition to that, technology helps democratize anything. Earlier, someone sitting in a tier 2 city would not be able to afford the best clothes, or will not be able to even find the best clothes in I don't know, let's say Allahabad, right? But today with e-commerce, you can order the most high-end brand anywhere that you want, right? Look at commoditization in education. India is predominantly still a rural country. Only about 30-40% of our country lives in cities. And of that, most of our best universities, schools tend to be located in 5, 10, 20 of the largest cities, right? So imagine everyone who's not living in those 5, 10, 20 largest cities, which is more than 80% of our population. There is a huge barrier, right? Where I grew up, there were like really great schools, colleges, or whatever around, right? However, with education today, if you have a smartphone and you have broadband access, which India has the third best data price in the world, right? And our offline infrastructure for education is not great. So basically, EdTech democratizes education. Someone sitting in a remote corner of Bihar, as long as they have an internet access and a device to access it on, they can learn from the very best today across any vertical, right? Similarly, if you look at societally, Indians put a lot of emphasis on education. Internet penetration in India, like India today has more people online than there are people in Europe. Like, think about that statement. The population of India that is online today is greater than the entire population of Europe. Not the entire online population of Europe, but the entire population of Europe, right? So as a result of this, today you will see a lot of, Goras and Firangs making content around India on YouTube or TikTok, right? Because they want all those views. India is going to be shaping the digital economy over the next couple of years. And given the fact that our data costs are the third cheapest in the world, I think only Israel and one more country in the world is cheaper than India in terms of cost per GB for broadband. So these are some of the broader points because of which you can see that the EdTech industry in India will have a very different growth story. It is broadly the only industry wherein the largest companies, not only today, but even 10 years from now, are going to be, Indian companies, right? So it is your chance to be a part of an industry where, Indian companies are going to be ruling the roost, right? That is the essence of it. Another thing that you could be asked about Upgrad. Now, another big problem that India has, a lot of you folks would have heard the news recently, right? That India is now the most populous country in the world. Everyone is aware of that?
Yes, sir.
Now, as soon as that happened, right, all the other major journals, newspapers of the world talked about how we have surpassed China in terms of...
मेरा कभी relationship इसके साथ खत्म तभी होगा जब...
I'm sorry? Akash, please put yourself on mute. All right. So basically, what I was talking about is, India's population. So India is at a very critical juncture in our evolution because we are a very young country, and either it could go very well for us or it could go very badly for us. On the good side, it means that we will have a very young population that could be in the part of the workforce, and people call this demographic dividend, that we have a lot of people in the age bracket of 15 to 65, which are basically the kind of folks who can be productive in the workforce.
Right.
But for that, India needs to create a lot of jobs, right? A lot of jobs. To give you an idea, India today needs to create somewhere about 1 crore jobs every year. 1 crore new jobs every year. However, we are able to create only about 20 lakh. The number of new graduates every year from India's colleges, new graduates every year that come out, the number is 1 crore, right? You will see a lot of postgraduates being like, delivery boys on Swiggy or wherever, right? The situation is very dire because if you have 1 crore people passing out every year, in the next 10 years, you're going to have 10 crore people who have graduated recently. And in 10 years, you will only be able to create 2 crore new jobs. What are the other 8 crore people going to do, right? And one of the barriers to this, meeting this gap, that there are a lot of people who are looking for jobs, but there aren't enough jobs in the market, is a lack of skills. You can look at any international study that is done by either McKinsey or any other report. You would always see that all these reports say that the overall employability of Indian graduates is really, really, really good, right? So for example, in engineering, about 90% of India's graduates, computer science graduates, are not fit to write code. They don't even know how to write functional code, right? So upskilling is a major problem because people don't really have the skill sets that are needed in the marketplace. Upgrad as a company is doing that, right? It is already the largest learning platform for upskilling in Southeast Asia. So if someone were to ask you a question around why do you want to work for Upgrad, you can talk about this, that Upgrad is solving probably the biggest challenge for India in the next 10 years. Right? You are an extremely young country, but if you are not able to harness this population, this moment in time where we can have this demographic dividend, it will be demographic disaster and no rest, right? It is a recipe disaster if you have hundreds of millions of people who are jobless and will probably not be productive and will actually become counterproductive, right? So that is something that India needs to figure out, and companies like Upgrad are the solution. Because the traditional education system of India has failed us, all of us, right? So you need a lot of this agility, and I think these are the kind of points that will demonstrate a high degree of intent, right? So this is about intent-based questions like why EdTech or why Upgrad. You don't need to cram it. I don't want all of you guys to sound like you have come from an assembly line. Put your own spin to it, but broadly that is the gist, right? Your answer should not be generic.
With permission, sir, I'd like to add one point. I have learned a lot of new things from you, and at this point of time, I just want to add one point here. I personally feel that Upgrad is doing a great thing of channelizing the aspiration of Indian population. As you have just mentioned, India.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It is actually channelizing the aspirations. We all have dreams, aspirations, but we don't know how we will get to there. But platforms like EdTech platforms like Upgrad, they help to see how it will work. Suppose if I want to be a billionaire, I should be guided by someone that this is the way you can do it. It's not like I want to do it, and if I'm not having the way how to do it. So platforms like Upgrad, they are actually, I personally feel they are actually a great tool to channelize the aspirations of the great Indian population.
Right. I think that's a fairly good point. Broadly, if you look at it, education is one of the best levelers in society. My grandfather was born an orphan. Whatever he could achieve in life and whatever we are today, or anyone in our broad family, is because he got educated. You know, he got educated, and a lot of you, right? How many of you have had generational wealth, or where you inherited kotiyan and bangle? Very few of you would have had those, right? It is mostly because someone in your family took the lead, and education is one of the best ways of upward social and economic mobility, right? That is why in India, everyone, like, dies to become an IAS, or wants to get into JEE, or wants to become a doctor, wants to write CAT, right? A lot of these things are hyper competitive because they do lead to better life outcomes in terms of a purely monetary reward, right? So it is a tool for upward social and financial mobility. And for a country where today, even if you earn, like, I mean, imagine anyone who will be working in the role of an admission counselor in Upgrad is a part of the top 10% of India in terms of your income. Anyone who earns 20K or more is a part of the top 10% of India. So we are predominantly a fairly poor country, right? But we have a lot of aspirations, and education is something, and companies like Upgrad are able to facilitate and channelize, as Nishant very eloquently put it, channelize the aspirations of the great Indian population, right? To just give you a couple of details about the role, I see a few people who might have joined in a little late. I'm sorry, guys. I think there was a limit of 300 people, and more people joined in today than we had expected. So apologize for the ones who entered a little late. One thing I want to mention to all of you that within the next 10 minutes, you will all start receiving a link on your email and on your WhatsApp. That link will contain an assessment. Now that's going to be a 5-10 minute thing. It will have a few multiple choice questions, and it will have a few audio questions. Predominantly, it is only going to be about the things that we are going to cover in this orientation. So if you've heard whatever we have spoken about here, you guys should be fine. In addition to that, there will be a question which is specifically for the folks of you who already have prior experience in sales. There is going to be a question which would ask you that what was the average ticket size of the product or the service that you used to sell. Now, sometimes we have seen that people mention the overall revenue they used to do in a month or in a year or whatever. That is not what that question is asking. It is simply asking, what is the average ticket size? So for example, if the average cost of an Upgrad product is 3 lakh rupees, then the average ticket size is going to be 3 lakh rupees for someone working in Upgrad, right? So it is basically the monetary value for selling one unit of product or a service to one single customer. That's it, right? So you have to only talk about that. So just putting it out there. Now, the role is based out of Noida and Hyderabad, as I've already pointed out. The CTC for this role goes up to 6.75 lakhs as the fixed component, and in addition to that, you have incentives of 4 lakhs. Incentives are calculated weekly. Incentives are calculated monthly, and they are paid out monthly as well. In addition to that, all of you, as I think some of you might have just joined in a little late. So this is going to be for the study abroad vertical. So the 2-year programs that Upgrad has launched in collaboration with a lot of foreign universities, where 1 year of the program is going to be online and the second year is going to be in person in the country wherever the candidate is going to. There's going to be a separate dedicated team for visa and all that paperwork and logistical hassles for going abroad in the second year. That is also going to be handled. So this is going to be a very high ticket purchase, right? And candidates need to demonstrate a high degree of sales ability. Yes, Supriya, if the assignment is not cleared, you will be rejected. There's another question from Soumya. So no, a prior sales experience is not mandatory. It's great if you have a prior sales experience. However, freshers are also welcome, but you would need to demonstrate a high degree of intent of why do you want to work in sales, and also a very high degree of intent around why do you want to work for Upgrad, right? And obviously you have to be excellent in your communication, that goes without saying. Raghu, I just mentioned the locations. The locations are Hyderabad and Noida. Okay, there are no other locations that Upgrad is hiring for right now. All right. Now coming to another thing that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. So I have one question. So first of all, what are the location is there? It's Hyderabad and Noida, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
No, guys, there is no bond. And guys, can you please stop with the questions? I'll take the questions at the end. I promise each and every one of you, I will not go anywhere unless I've cleared all of your doubts. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
But we'll keep the questions at the end. Muskan, okay, they're hiring more than 150 odd people for the role across these two locations. I think about 30 positions in Hyderabad and about 100 odd in Noida. But anyways, we'll take the questions at the end. The salary band is going to be 4 to 6.75. Candidates who already have work experience, you can expect a hike of somewhere between 20 to 30% on your current CTC. However, it comes with a rider, right? So, for example, if you left your recent company in 5 months, then you might only get like a 10% hike. But if your tenure has been 1 year or longer, you can expect like a 20-30% hike. For freshers, you will get 4 to 4.5 based on your interview performance. All right. Now, another pointer that I wanted to mention very clearly in the assessment. So, in the assessment, there are a couple of audio questions. Now, what we have seen is that a lot of folks are cheating on these questions and opening a tab and answering these questions. Let me assure you that every single answer to these questions is transcribed from text to speech. So as soon as we receive any answer that matches a lot of the answers that we have received in the past, it means that all those answers have been pulled out from the web. Whether it's ChatGPT, Google search, Bing search, no matter what you do, right? We have 500,000 data points. So please be genuine, because even if you answer really well, but the answer is copied or plagiarized, we have a plagiarism check. Your profile will get automatically discarded, and Upgrad is gonna not even interview you, right? Coming to the interview process, after you submit the assessment, if you clear it, you will receive a notification in the next 24 to 48 hours that, hey, your assessment has been cleared. You can expect to hear from someone in the Upgrad team. First, you will receive a phone call, which is going to be a telephonic screening, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes. So that is mostly going to be just a formality. Very few people are actually rejected there. And post that, you're going to have 1 round. That's it. There's only 1 round of an interview. Sivan, the assessment test link starts going out at 9:45. But WhatsApp messages are only sent 1 at a time. So it will take a while before it lands in all your inboxes. But all of you will get there, right? Don't worry. Ayush, if you're on the call, just please share the assessment link with me. Okay, now coming back. Now, one more question that you guys will be asked and judged around would be, sales ability. Now, for the ones who have already worked in sales, goes without saying, you have to understand your product really well. You should remember your pitch really well. You should know why did you make a certain pitch, and so on and so forth. In some cases, we have seen that they might just ask you to, sell a pen, or, ask like a very difficult kind of a sales question that, hey, how would you sell this AC in Alaska? Right? Or how would you sell an AC to someone living in Ladakh or whatever, right? Sell a comb to a bald guy, sell a fish to a Brahmin, or like some ridiculous stuff like that. I just wanted to briefly touch upon these questions, specifically for the ones of you who are freshers. So broadly, look, there are multiple ways to sell a product, and I don't claim to be an expert, so I'm not saying that this is the only way. But in my opinion, it's the easiest way that, it doesn't matter what they would ask you to sell. You can sell anything by this approach. One way is a very general way that, hey, if you're asked to sell a pen, you'll talk about the utilitarian value of the pen. It's called a FAB framework, which is features, advantages, benefits. That is, these are the features of the pen: great ink, great grip, low price, whatever. last for long. Then you can talk about advantages and what are the advantages of these features over other competitive products. And at the end, what are the benefits that you as a customer will get from using this pen, right? There is nothing wrong. The ones of you who can do it really well, great, all the very best. However, what I prefer is something which I call as creating artificial scarcity. Do you guys know why diamond is the most expensive? Any guesses? Why is diamond more expensive than gold, silver, platinum, whatever?
Monopoly.
Monopoly.
Monopoly. Absolutely. What does monopoly do?
It actually channelizes the demand. It controls
exactly.
the demand.
No. Reduces the supply, not reduces demand. Why would someone reduce demand?
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Supply.
Right. So basically, diamond industry is a cartel which is controlled by De Beers. Right? De Beers and a lot of these people have created a cartel where most of their supply, right, 80% of the diamonds that are actually available are not actually sold in the market, because if those products are dumped in the market, the price of diamonds would crash. In economics, there are only two factors that affect the price of any good, or not just the price, but also the demand of any good is affected by two things: supply and demand. Sometimes you will see that, a luxury brand comes out with a special edition. BMW might come with a special edition car, or Louis Vuitton might come up with a special edition something, right? Or Jack Daniels might come up with a special edition whiskey. These products get sold out before anything else. You know why? Exclusivity, scarcity. Look, if you think of any luxury brand, right? The most iconic brands, do you think people use Apple phones purely because it is the best phone? I mean, I'm not even saying it's the best phone. Okay. I use an iOS myself, but I hate a lot of things about it. Most people buy Apple because it signals something for its signaling value. It's the same reason why people buy a Mercedes or a Porsche or a Louis Vuitton bag, or buy an MF Hussain painting for 5 crores when they could just get a printout of it and hang it for maybe 1/10, like a fraction of the price. All of it comes down to signaling. And why do products that have signaling have value? Because they're rare, they're exclusive, or they signal exclusivity. If every Tom, Dick, or Harry would travel in a Mercedes, the value of Mercedes is not that much. If you look at if you go to a country like Finland, if you drive around a Mercedes, kind of, it's like that. So everything is around exclusivity. So there are two vectors, that demand and supply. If you reduce the supply of something artificially, even at the constant demand, the product becomes more rare, right? You know what, Versace? So let's think of like how it works out in the fashion industry. So Zara or H&M create a lot of designs. That is called fast fashion, where the entire goal is create new designs and sell them fast. If they have not sold, or if like Levi's created a pair of jeans, they haven't sold too much, they'll create a sale, right? We have all shopped at these sales. Have you guys ever seen Mercedes do a sale? Or have you ever seen like, a Louis Vuitton or a Versace do a sale? Never, ever, ever. Actually, Versace, if they create a handbag and the handbag they do not sell and some of it is left, they don't put it on a discounted sale, because if you make it for a discount, exclusivity reduces. What they do is they burn it. They literally burn it, right? This is called artificially reducing the supply to increase demand. It's the same principle that works with high-end art. All the artists that are expensive, most of them are expensive only after they die. You know why? Because after you have died, you can't make any more paintings. Supply becomes limited, right? If you look at some of the largest, artists like Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci or whatever, like whose paintings are expensive. The paintings are expensive because they made a finite number of artworks. Every time a painting is sold, it means the supply reduces by 1. That is why most people, when they buy these, crore ki paintings, They're not buying it because they like the color. There's no value of inherent value in a painting that is worth that kind of money. You know, it is used as an alternative investment. 76% of the global art market is because of investment. It's a good investment because it's scarce. As the scarcity increases for dead artists with every incremental sale, one more painting that is sold by Hussein means one less painting to be bought by available for purchase anywhere else, right? So when someone says that, hey, sell this pen, you could make that utility and benefit argument. That's great, but a better argument would be to artificially make that pen very rare. What you could say is, this is the pen that was used to sign the independence document by Jawaharlal Nehru, or this is the pen that was used to create the Constitution of India by B.R. Ambedkar, right? Now, because they might have used a pen, but it would have been only one pen.